new builds and kind of expanding the community in this manufactured way. I just wondered, like, what mechanisms are there? Are there any legal mechanisms that you can use to try and, you know, ensure that this community has the same or a similar character? Because particularly with, you know, I imagine not, you know, like a proportion of the rents will be London affordable rent, and then the rest, I imagine there'll be market rent, which is probably going to be quite high. And there's a lot of people in a post-COVID world who work from home now. And there's a lot of people who really like the idea of communal living and really like the idea of being surrounded by creative, artistic people who might not have those types of jobs. And I can really foresee it potentially really, really changing the character of the district, unless it was kind of done in some kind of you know, discerning way. But then I don't, is there such a way that you can say, I'm only going to let artists rent this? I don't know.
What you've described is what we've been trying to do. That's what we've done. We can only build a new building. I mean, that's a sort of a given anyway in any development. You can only build a new building. So we're not trying to make it a pastiche, but we are trying to introduce into it those elements that we think make the best of the buildings we've already got successful. So about volumes of materials, about the ability to create a sort of canvas that people can decorate and adapt and refit for their own purposes. We only charge a rent for the room that you take the room, and that everything else is then shared. So the affordability is inherent in it because what we're trying to do is essentially there's a minimum number of rooms for a maximum amount of shared space, because we can't tell people you have to work in this space and you can't work anywhere else, because there's always been, to some extent, a mix of people. Some work in the buildings and some work elsewhere. Some are couples where one person works as a maker or an artist or a designer or a dressmaker or whatever they do in their space, and their partner may work outside. So we've always had this sort of this intermingling, but the affordability criteria is we try and make as much shared space as available off the back of letting the rooms. And you know, our aim is to continue doing that, and I think we have always maintained affordability on that basis. That's why the area is full. We tend to have a waiting list of people who want to come in and live here, and it's also why I'm really sympathetic to the idea of can we find some route to make sure that local people get access to it, although they do have access to it. We're very nervous about the idea of creating some kind of two-tier system where some people get a subsidy that other people don't get, because that doesn't seem to run in a way that's fair with other occupants of the buildings. But we are exploring some of that with officers at the moment, and we're trying to get to a position that's analogous.
No, I'll make one point.
My question was really more about the nature of the you know, whether it's creative workers or whether it's people with all types of different jobs from all different types of parts.
There are that in there. I mean, you know, I've been working on this project for 6 years to try and get that essence of place and talking to the residents, trying to do this thing. And there are all sorts of people that living there. There are architects living there. There are lawyers living there. There are artists, there are everyone doing their thing, and that's the freedom of it for young people. If we don't do this, those buildings are going to fall down. They are not, you know, they're leaking. Some of them are needing a lot of work in them. We need to do something, and we need to carry this area on, and this is the way of doing it. We've spent hours and hours and hours trying to create new warehouse living. Have we done it? Clearly not to some people in the room, but we have desperately tried to do something new, because otherwise those buildings are going to fall down. We can't keep mending them and patching over them. They're leaking. This is the opportunity to create a new type of warehouse living and sustain the place, basically.
Okay,
that's what we're trying to do.
Thank you. Councillor Bartlett. It's been answered. Okay, all right. Right, no more questions. Okay, so Thank you very much. It's getting late and I'm well aware. So, yeah, thank you very much for the presentation. Thank you. Okay, so we're now on to item 12, which is update on major proposals. Okay, so we can take these by email. Yeah. Any questions by email? And just note, please, the date of the next meeting. Okay, thank you. All right, thank you very